Hello, hello.
Hey,
Can I start by asking you something personal?
of course, I'm listening.
Perfect. Have you ever looked at the mirror and thought, I've changed, I love it, but will my family and friends love this new version of me?
Yeah, absolutely. I have definitely looked in the mirror and thought that, but I've also looked in the mirror and thought, I've changed and I don't necessarily love it, but yeah, I've thought that.
So today we're talking about that guilt that comes with becoming more you. The awkward moment when people who knew that old version of you start seeing you differently.
So you mean like maybe you're speaking up more or prioritizing your own peace? Like in your case, eating better for sure. People notice those things, saying no, dreaming bigger, and then suddenly people are like, oh, you're too much, you've changed, you're different, that kind of change.
Yes, exactly. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Find Your Wise, the podcast where we have real conversations about living with intentionality and evolving without guilt, apology. I'm Yndhira, your leadership coach, helping people to reclaim their identity.
And I'm Yvonne. I'm a financial coach, and I'm helping you build your confidence and peace, but not just in your wallet and your bank account, but in all of your decisions. You know, every week we are here to challenge the stories that you have been told who you have to be.
Yes. And today we are challenging one of the biggest lies that most of us were raised to believe. And it's that staying the same is a sign of loyalty and change is the betrayal.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. You know, people say that they want growth, but down, most of us are just really scared that if we really grow, that we're going to be alone when we're healed and successful.
That's exactly true. And because sometimes guilt shows that little boy whispering, you've changed, like you mentioned before. Don't forget where you come from.
Yeah.
Don't leave people behind. But what if growth isn't about leaving anyone behind, but instead it's about returning to yourself?
Yeah, I love that. You know, sometimes we're not afraid of failure. I'm one of those people that's not necessarily afraid of failure. I am more afraid of success. But a lot of times we're afraid that we and the choices that we are making are going to be really misunderstood by the people that we love the most.
And that's true, because we think conditioning that loyalty means never changing.
Right.
And if we evolve, we begin to be fake, we're being too much, or we're not the person that we used to be. And sometimes that's really painful to go through that process.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, if we're being honest, I think it's really strange that we celebrate transformation and improvement in everything except people.
Yep.
You know, we upgrade our phones like every other year, but we'll stay in relationships that haven't grown in 10. I think that's kind of crazy. You know, we often will change our wardrobes, our job, our car, and everybody's like, yay, look at you improving your life. But oh no, if you change something the way, like if you used to see something one way and now you change the way you look at it, or God forbid you change your boundaries, the biggest one, if you let go of something that isn't working anymore, people sensationalize that. They're like, who are you?
You know, I like that what you said, because if we think about, for some of those upgrades, we're forced to. For example, you're forced to change your phone. Your
Pretty
car
much.
tells you when it needs to be changed, but we don't have that system that we are forced to. We have to be intentional. But let me tell you some stats. We love stats. In 2022, according with American Psychological Association, 67% of people who decide to go in the process of personal growth or therapy reported pushback from their families and friends within the first year.
Wow.
So, like you said, the moment that you stop people pleasing, playing small, and especially setting boundaries, we have resistance, not necessarily celebration. So it's painful sometimes.
And it's sad that now, you know, when you look at those statistics, you can see why so many people don't pursue therapy or self-improvement. You know, and sometimes we think that being loyal is really just what we're thinking is being loyal is just attachment to what's familiar. And that keeps us from changing a lot too. But that's not love, you know, especially if you're talking about a relationship with somebody. That's not love. It's not loyalty. It's fear and control dressed up as devotion. We do it to make ourselves comfortable. So, you know, you got to ask yourself questions like, is this relationship, whether it's personal, professional, or even just a friendship, is it loving me or is it limiting me?
That's a tough one.
Mhm.
And I like the one that you said about familiar, because we don't get pushback sometimes necessarily because they don't love us, but also that feels unfamiliar.
To them, yeah.
And let me tell you something, not just then, even for us, we takes time to struggle sometimes accepting that
Yeah.
new version. And I think about like when you lose a significant amount of weight, you look yourself in the mirror and it takes time for your mind and you to accept this you. And if your body feels different and you see yourself different. So it takes time for you to accept that process. And it's the same thing for personal growth.
Yeah.
The new you takes time to adjust it. And also for the people around you, it takes time to see you within this new version. So that discomfort is just part of the process.
No, that's very, very true. So, like always, I need to turn this around to money. It's what I know, it's what I do.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about really shows up in our wallets hard, because a lot of people will stay underpaid or, feel guilty for charging more if you're an entrepreneur, or you might even be afraid to ask for a raise. And a lot of people think that they don't understand that fear. But sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's because they haven't invested in themselves, because they don't want to admit that if they've spent the money or the time on something that their circle doesn't approve of, they're going to give them a hard time for doing it.
Yeah.
People pleasing 101.
Yes. And let me tell you that sometimes we play small. And from the leadership perspective, that attach also to that, when people, for example, stay in a job for certain things, I'm going to tell you a personal story because I've been there. I once worked in an organization where someone I care brought me into the company. And instead of me, for example, showing up fully, I was playing small. Not because I wasn't capable, but because deep down, I didn't want that person to feel that I was there to take over, to outshine them.
Mhm.
And being honest, I wasn't doing that person any favor. I wasn't doing myself any favors. And definitely, I wasn't doing the organization any favor. So looking back, I was operating from guilt. Guilt that my growth might make feel someone uncomfortable, or that I can lose that connection in that relationship that I have with that person. So that's why it reminds me. I don't know if you have seen the Coach Carter movie. There's That's really good. I recommend it. And there's an scene that they talk about a poem, and they said our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's because it takes courage to your own light to make your light too bright as much as it can. And the main thing that we have to understand is that when we do that, we also raise the bar for others.
Yes.
And that's not arrogance.
Mhm.
We shouldn't feel guilt for that. We should understand that we're leaders and we're showing leadership during that process. But it takes time to understand it.
I love that concept. And especially the one that we've heard so many times is that when you raise yourself, a good leader is going to raise others around them too. And that's in all aspects, not just corporate. But yeah, I think it's crazy that we're so worried about making other people uncomfortable while we literally will sacrifice ourselves, our peace, our money, you name it, to make other people comfortable. And it's killing our calling. The security of staying the same is suffocating our potential.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. And like you said, this is not just about work environment. It's about any aspect. As a father, how you can continue growing so you can uplift your kids, so you can show by the example.
Yes.
So how do we deal with this guilt? The first thing is that, like we talked about last week, name it. Call it for what it is. You're not selfish. You are not supposed to stay the version of yourself that was created without intention and for survival. Another thing is redefine loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Loyalty is not about staying the same. It's about staying true and aligned with your values, not based on people's expectations, to your values.
Yeah. And third, give others permission to feel what they feel, because you're not going to be able to change it. But you don't shrink for that, okay? You are not the bad person for growing. So here's something I want you guys to reflect on. Who would you be if you stopped apologizing and limiting your growth?
Oh my gosh. And I want to give time so they that question sink in. Yes. And let me tell you, your real tribe, they will adjust.
Yeah.
Or they will exit. Both are a blessing. The people that are supposed to stay with you, they will stay with you. The one that is supposed to move on, they will move on. But
Yep.
understand, personal growth is uphill and it demands courage. And sometimes we need to face it.
Very true. So let today be the light that you stop the day. Let today be the day. Sorry, guys, very tired. Had a sick dog for a whole week. But let today be the day that you stop dimming your light that God has placed in you for those who choose to stay in the shadows. This week, I want to challenge you to do this. Say out loud one way that you've changed or that you want to change, and then own it. Okay? No disclaimer, no backpedaling. Just be really honest with yourself.
And let's hope this week your dog feels better
Thank
and
you.
you'll be
A
able to
little better.
rest. Yeah.
Anybody who has followed me on any of my other social medias have been following the saga of Abigail.
Yes. So I hope she feels better.
Thank you.
And for you, if you enjoyed this episode, or if there's someone around you that is evolving, or if you are evolving and you want people to understand the process that you're going through, please share this episode, repost it. Let's normalize change and not feel guilty for it.
Absolutely.
Good.
So, yeah, I was just going to say, go ahead and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for yourself also.
Yes. And thank you so much for joining us in this another episode. And we'll see you next week.